Good morning, everyone. I'm Kevin Allen, joined by my usual broadcast partner, former NHL defenseman Tom Laidlaw, played 11 seasons for the New York Rangers and Los Angeles Kings. This is the Laidlaw and Allen Report. We come to you twice a week, except over the last 2 weeks, to talk about hockey. Now the season's underway. I'm back from vacation, a little 2 weeks in Italy with my wife. They didn't talk much hockey over there. They're all caught up in their own politics. Like a lot of countries in the world, they have elected a conservative leader, and there's a lot of discussion about that. And had a good time, drank a lot of wine, had a lot of great conversations with people. It was fun. I enjoyed it.
There you go. And just you and your wife, correct?
Yes, it was. We were part of a Buongiorno. That's exactly right. We were part of a tour group. So we got to know a lot of people while we were over there, but it was we were a group of two. So, there are other people.
How does that work? You're not required to hang out together all day and you just go over there.
No,
together.
But you can if you want. I mean, they organize stuff every day and it's your choice. But if you don't want to go, you don't have to go, So, and there were some things a lot of people didn't go. A lot of people went to the Vatican. We didn't go because we have been to the Vatican. So, we stayed after tour was over. We were still going. We had 14 full days, and missed my connection though. By 3 minutes, so I end up coming home 24 hours later than we wanted to. It was a long day. That's for sure. So it was a mistake. I didn't make my own travel arrangements, and we took the suggestion of my wife took the suggestion of someone who said this was a good idea. But as soon as I looked at him, I knew it was going to be problematic, and it was. So we had through two different connections trying to get them back, and it just worked out exactly the way you anticipated it would.
Were you based in one city in Italy the whole time?
No, we traveled all over. We stayed. I think we were in 5 different hotels. We were started in northern Italy, and then we came back to Rome, and we spent the last few days, in Rome.
Right.
So,
now, do you speak Italian at all, or do you get by with English?
Not at all. Not at all. My wife speaks some Spanish, so there's some similarities there, so she could pick up some. But Italians are pretty much citizens of the world. There's a lot of them that speak English, particularly in the places we were where they're used to, tourism and all that kind of stuff. The one prevailing thought I had too in talking to Italians about, life, their history dates back like forever. Like I went and visited the University of Bologna. It was that university is 1,000 years old. I mean, just think about that. Like that's just nuts. That students were going there 1,000 years ago.
Right.
But the country itself, we did absolutely.
Nice.
The country itself, the history goes back. Leonardo da Vinci and all kinds of people that we've heard about from, the 15th century and the Pope.
Kevin froze up on us there a little bit. He's discussing his trip to Italy that he just got back from. Sounds like it was beautiful.
Yeah. So they have only been a country since, 1870. So we're an older country, we being the United States, than Italy. They were like families ruled, through the years in different parts of the country. And then it was part of the papal state and so forth. So it's a really sort of complicated company. One thing I do enjoy, and I've been there before, so I did have some knowledge. I think we figured out, my wife and I, that I have spent 50 days of my life in Italy. But I love how they talk with their hands. Now, I do some of that too. I'm not Italian, but but they actually have one of the tour guides. We were on a thing. She taught us some of the ways to talk with their hands and what it all means. A lot of those I'm not going to do on this podcast, what they all mean. But it was just really interesting about what it's part of their language. Part of their language are the hand signs that they
Right.
give to do that. But the fun thing, and I wrote about this on Facebook, my wife loved it, this thing, because we got taught by a true Roman. She was born and raised in Rome, is how to cross the streets, because Rome is a very busy city, and cars and motorcycles and scooters are constantly flying, and you got to get across.
Right.
So the first couple of days, and we remembered this from the last time, but we didn't figure it out the last time we were there. This time we ended up talking with the Roman. Before we would just wait find a couple of Italians, and then it was like we were in a NASCAR race. We tuck in behind them, and then when we went, we just stayed right on their heels.
There you go.
Because they know what they're doing. But a woman from Rome told us that he said you got to look them in the eyes. You got to look at them and let them know you mean business. And you're going, damn right, we're going to cross this street.
Oh, okay.
And then you just haul across.
I like that. That's good.
But you got to look them in the eyes. So after about 2 days, my wife and I didn't need Romans to get us across. We just would go out, we'd stare at the guy, give him one of the, that we meant business and that we were going to cross the street, and we didn't care what the signal said.
So now, was there any confrontations ever? Like, if I'm driving the car, then I'm like, who do you?
No, not really. They respect it. Everyone knows kind of how it works.
Okay.
If you're a pedestrian and you meet someone's eyes as they're driving up, they're supposed to stop. That's the rules. So I mean, it's still.
Susan brings up a good point. That's kind of the way it is in Manhattan too, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Susan's absolutely right. Yeah, it is. It is. But I think they're more apt to run you down in Manhattan.
That's true too. Or definitely have confrontations. Like they wouldn't just.
I'm exaggerating. They might not run you over, but you would have. Maybe there'd be an exchange of some sign language.
Yes, the horn would be honking. Yeah, a few people pounding on the hood. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, the other thing I love about Rome, and we're going to get off this. I want to talk about hockey, but I love that you can park wherever you can find a space to put your car in Rome. Like there are cars sideways, they're on the median. If they got these tiny cars that they put on the sidewalks, they double park on major streets.
Nice.
Like I don't know how they sort that all out about who gets a ticket and who doesn't. But it was just absolutely nuts. But and you know what? Here's the thing, and I've never done this before. I didn't take my computer, and I really didn't turn my phone on.
Wow.
So I had no idea really what was going on. You don't get, at least in my hotels, used to get Eurosport, and Eurosport you could pick up. Some things. The NFL is pretty big in Italy, but we really didn't get any information. We ended up running into people who had been, went to a bar and watched a MLB playoff game or whatever, or we'd run into people who were following specific teams who had, hooked up their computers. But it wasn't us. We had no computer and had no phone. So,
did you enjoy that? Not having a phone or computer?
I did actually. Yeah. It was a little. I've been at this a while, so I really did feel for the first few days like something was wrong. Like I'm used to starting my day by seeing what happened, and so it all worked out. But let's talk a little bit of hockey because life happened while I was gone. I was doing my thing and my life was happening, but in the real world, which is our hockey world, things are going on. The Tampa Bay Lightning, for example. Haven't looked like the Tampa Bay Lightning in their first couple of games, I see. And Marc-Andre Fleury already got booed once. Gave up, I think, 2 or 3 quick goals, and the fans in Minnesota booed him. And what did Mark say? Mark said, I would have booed me too.
Oh, did he?
He said I wasn't very good. He said it was problematic. Detroit Red Wings are off to 2-0 start. The Rangers are 2-1. The Philadelphia Flyers. And this is not one of Tom's teams. It doesn't think much of what they're doing there. And to be honest, I'm right with them. I think they don't seem to understand where they really are in the pecking order, but can't argue with their success so far. I mean, 2 games, not exactly a large sample size, but they won those games. I think it's fair to say that Tortorella is having an impact in terms of they are. Based on what I've been told and the one conversation I've had about the team with someone who has watched them, is they have been a little harder to play against. a little more committed, and that's what you get from John Tortorella.
Yeah.
Certainly, Ranger fans, Blue Jackets fans, and Vancouver fans know that win, lose, or draw, Tortorella's teams are going to compete.
Yes, they are. Yep, absolutely.
They're going to compete, and that's what's happened thus far. Was curious to see this morning that reading TSN, and they're usually on top of things there. They've talked to Pat Brisson, who is an agent to the Stars, has a lot of the prime players, and he said that they being he and Patrick Kane do expect to talk to the Blackhawks at some point about him moving, but no one's in any hurry, which I really kind of like. And really, I've known Patrick Kane a long time, and that really is his personality. He's in no hurry. He likes Chicago. He likes the people, and he spends his whole time there. Yeah, it makes sense. There's logic for him to go and try to win a cup elsewhere, and I'm sure he'll do that, but doesn't happen.
I'm going to call the bluff on that one. Pat Brisson, I know well, great guy, very honorable guy, so I'm not trying to say he's lying, but I find it really hard to believe that all this has gone on and they have not had a conversation with Patrick Kane.
Oh, he didn't say that.
Well, what did he say?
No. He just said that that at some point they're going to have a serious conversation about it's time to go now. So they've talked about it.
Okay.
Yeah. At least that was my interpretation.
Okay.
I think they've talked about it, but what he said was the thing that surprised me a little bit is neither side seems to be in any hurry. So
I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah. If I was Chicago, I'd want to make this move as quickly as possible. What if he gets hurt?
You would, true. Very good point. But then you wait till the trade deadline. That's when you get your most value for him, right?
Well, maybe. I mean, I guess it always depends on the circumstance. In his case, because of $10 million.
Right.
And, I think I've said all along, I thought the Rangers and Colorado are the two teams where I think.
Do you want them to have cap space for it?
That's the problem.
Right.
And so I'm sure if you go and, it's a terrible, terrible thing in a salary cap world, or is what our former NHL writer Al Strachan used to say, the socialist system, as he called it, socialist system. That you're in the position to have to root for a long-term injury. You're saying to yourself, well, somebody will get hurt, and it'll be a big ticket player, and then we'll have room then too.
So you're picking those two teams, Colorado and the Rangers, because you think they're contenders. They've got the assets to give up.
Yes.
To help Chicago.
Yep.
See, it's one of those moves again where I'm saying, okay, if I'm the New York Rangers and if I'm good enough that I'm a contender, does it upset the apple cart by bringing in a player like Patrick Kane? You're not bringing in a depth player or a series of depth players. You're bringing in a real difference maker, which could be fantastic, but it also changes everybody's role, right? Everybody gets pushed down a little bit. That's, I guess, yeah.
Well, you're the player. You've been there. I certainly haven't. Yeah. But, my feeling is if I'm in a room and there's a rumor that Patrick Kane is coming to our team, right, I'm pretty excited. Now, I haven't there. Maybe you're right. Maybe, because the top players aren't, they're going to have to give up a couple of their minutes to get.
Well, I mean, somebody, he's a top 6 forward, obviously, top 3. Yeah. So who moved down, right?
Yeah. No.
And who moves on down the ladder? Everybody's getting pushed down the ladder, right? That's the concern I have. But
but we sell the idea, and this is true. We sell the idea that our sport is different. Our sport is different, that we're team oriented. We're not the player-centric leagues. We can name a couple player-centric leagues, you and I.
Right. Yeah.
And we're not that league. Right. That's what we sell. You need 4 lines, you need role players, you need stars. Everybody's in it together. So if we believe that, I'm not always sure that I totally believe that. I understand what we're saying is that you win on that.
Susan raises a good point. 94 worked, made a lot of trades, right?
Yeah.
Monty, Doug Waite, got in, guys, some pretty character guys too, right? Glenn Anderson came in, all those guys. So, yeah.
So I guess, get to my point is I think in the sport that we do put a lot of emphasis on what you just do whatever it takes to win, next man up, that kind of thing. So, I would think the Rangers would be excited if they.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, you've got to have that strong locker room. When in '94, Mark Messier was the captain, Adam Graves was there, Brian Leach, some real character guys. So they can, and I guess the Rangers to get some character guys too. This is to me, it's a strong team. Trouba's a good leader. I think that was a good choice as captain. He's not Mark Messier, nobody is, but he's a real stand-up guy, addressing issues that need to be addressed on and off the ice. So, yeah.
Here's a funny thought. Susan, of course, will know the answer to this. Right. But who was the leader of the Rangers before Mark Messier?
Kelly Kisser.
It doesn't matter.
Kelly Kisser was captain.
What, Kelly? Was he the leader? That was the question.
He was a pretty leader. He was the leader here when I was here. No, he was good. He was a quiet guy, but a hardworking guy. Yeah, no, he was good.
Yeah, but you certainly would know that because you're Rangers. But I mean, would the average fan remember who?
Oh yeah.
I mean, because once Messier took over, I mean, it was Messier's Rangers.
Absolutely.
So
it kind of still is. So like we played an outdoor alumni game. Oh, I was 10 years ago, whatever, down in Philadelphia. We're all on the bus together, and even he was leading on the bus. Even it's just everybody listened to it. I thought it was kind of funny because I really never played with him, but you just see that everybody, again, mainly the guys that had played with him, just assumed that Mark's going to take the lead on everything. So yeah, he's the leader.
Yeah. I will tell you a funny story that since I've come back, I've had time to sort of catch up, and I saw that last year, Jeff Blashill, every coach has buzzwords. They have things they say over and over. And one of Jeff Blashill's things in Detroit when he was here was that, it's the players have to trust the process. It's the process,
It's the process.
We're trying to press this. So that's the problem. And Lalone, Derek Lalone, who's done a good job here with the Red Wings thus far. I mean, we're only 2 games in, but you can't be better. We're a results-oriented league, and you can't be better than 2-0 after 2 games, and that's what he is. But I had to laugh because he did a press conference and he just spewed forth with the process. That the players are buying into the process, and of course, some of the writers refer to it as the P word. That fans just got sick of because I don't know whether the players trusted the process, but I know the fans did. The fans did not trust the process last year. So I thought that
I trust the process. I trust the process. Yes.
Yeah,
I do believe in the process.
But some of the things you and I were both bullish about the Vancouver Canucks, and they haven't yet been the team that we kind of thought we would. And I personally liked, the Oilers getting Jack Campbell, and some of my Toronto Maple Leafs loving readers have said that I was, crazy, that, he wasn't any good after the first 2 months of the season. He was very good, and then he was sub 900 save percentage. And, and some of that, I think, is the fact that the Maple Leafs are not an extraordinarily good defensive team.
No, running gun.
Yeah. So, but staying all that, I like that. I think Campbell is a hardworking guy, and at very worst, I think he's an average goalie.
And what else was out there that's available too? Right?
That's exactly right. I thought it was a good fit, but I watched late last night. I was watching just some highlights, or we'll call them lowlights, from the Oilers' loss, and Campbell didn't look so good. He didn't look sharp. But again, I'm pretty pragmatic about, I understand, I've covered the league long enough that you can't win the Stanley Cup. I believe it's a cliche, but I believe this. You can't win the Stanley Cup in the first 3 weeks of the season, but you can sure as hell lose it. Because if you get off to a poor start, let's look at last year's New York Islanders.
I was just going to say the same thing. Yep.
Yeah. You get off to a poor start, and it just, it doesn't just ruin your day. It ruins your month. And then your bad month ruins your first 3 months. And before you know it, you've had a horrible season.
Right. And it's funny because you can have a good start and let's say in the middle of the season have that bad month, and it seems like it doesn't affect you the same way, especially mentally, right? Because now you're thinking at the start of the year, not only are you losing points, but geez, are we any good or not? Are we losing our confidence as a team? Again, you do it in the middle of the season, you've already had a number of games to show, yes, we are good, we know what we're doing. But then in the middle of the season, all of a sudden you have that rough stretch. But Susan asked a good question here. I want to get on this one. I know we're talking about, will Lindy Ruff be the first coach to go? My answer is yes, he will. I was told by Little Birdie that who did they hire as assistant coach? It was the guy that was down in Florida, right? I think they brought in
Burnett.
Right. So I was told that Lindy Ruff was actually told by management that if they didn't get off to a good start, that he would be fired early in the season, and that the assistant coach that they bring in would be the guy taking over. That's why he was brought in. So
just imagine what coaching meetings are like in that situation.
Yeah.
I think Tom Fitzgerald's done a good job with New Jersey, but I don't like that. I think that's a poor way to handle that.
Well, I think it kind of happened like they wanted. I think how it happened was they wanted Lindy to help find a guy that was could be a good head coach down the road. So Lindy actually said to him, "So let me get this straight. If we don't get off to a good start during the season, you want me to help you pick up coach who's going to take over my job?" And they said yes. That was pretty accurate. Yeah.
Well, the one thing I would say about him, I mean, the reason why he's no longer coach in Florida is it's simple. Like, when you take over, he took over from Joel Quenneville. I think the mandate was, whether it was said, but it was understood,
right,
get this team, make it better defensively, because historically,
right,
that's what new coaches can do. Like, you can't make a team better offensively. Right. I mean, you can tweak the power play and all that, but, you can't, you don't teach someone to be a 25 goal scorer. Either they are or they're not. Yeah. But where coaches make their hay as new coaches with a team is they change the defensive structure and they get buy-in. And usually they get it because those players are trying to persuade the new coach that they deserve more playing time. So everyone's on their best behavior.
Yeah, yeah.
So you're expected, and that's true of Andrew Burnett, to make a difference defensively. And he didn't. This team was not better defensively as it won. And it showed, I thought, in the postseason.
Yeah.
So I think that's why he lost his job. So, did he suddenly
turn into a better coach all of a sudden? Yeah.
Yeah. Did he figure that out in the offseason?
Maybe they're saying in New Jersey that they already have defensive players. They want to get more out of their team, more offense, right? Is he going to help those young players be better offense? Yeah.
Well, that was the thought process behind Lane Lambert being chosen with the Islanders. And what's your take on the Islanders thus far?
I haven't watched them play much. I just don't see them any different than last year. I just see them older. I don't see.
Yeah, but you is that just based on their personnel, not based on
personnel? Yeah, based on personnel. Because there's really no changes there. So again, I haven't watched them play, but I'm assuming it's just going to be the same old play. Because what I hear too, Lane Lambert was really kind of in control last year, even when Barry Trotz was there. That he was really the guy calling the shots. So,
well, that'll be interesting. Yeah. I think coaching, and you would know better, so we'll certainly weigh in on this. I think coaches can have some impact on offense, just in terms of their willingness to let players play without, worrying about their jobs. In order to be a good scorer, don't you got to be able to take chances?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, no question about it. Yeah. Live with the mistakes. No question about it. Okay, here's one now. I know it's only 3 games. Montreal is 1-2. Is it going to work there with Marty St. Louis?
I think it will. I think he's going to be a good coach because I think, the old school coaches, they came in 2 different varieties. The old school coaches, they came in the Sutter variety where I'm just going to be mean and nasty and I'll intimidate everyone into do it. And then there were guys like Jacques Demers, I'll use him as an example. Real, not a high level of X's and O's coaching philosophy. He's not running hockey schools and developing coaches, but he's really good. He was at motivating players and getting the best out of them. And I think that's what we're trying to do there as well. That, I think Marty St. Louis has done a real good job. He's gotten Cole Caulfield to remember what it is that got him there. And I think that'll be a success. I think younger players will feel empowered by him, and they're going to have a lot of younger players. So I think it is going to work.
He does carry himself as a real leader too, like a little bit of that chip on the shoulder. Even like I'm going to show people I'm wrong. It's another case here. He wasn't drafted, played with that chip on the shoulder, had a Hall of Fame career. Now he comes in as a coach who was never coached beyond like Pee-wee level, and he's going to have that same chip on his shoulder. Also, he knows what everybody's saying. Is he really qualified? And again, they'll go through some tough stretches, and that's going to be the real test for him and keeping control of that team too. Talking about a test, San Jose, what is going on? They're 0-4, and again, I know it's the first 4 games. It's not the season, but is that team?
Yeah, we thought they were going to be a little better. I don't think either one of us thought they were a playoff team, but I thought they would be a little more competitive. Mike Grier made some nice moves, I thought, in the offseason, and I think he'll do a good job. They're a very smart guy. But we got to wait and see, I guess, what they're doing. But thus far, they haven't looked like they're even remotely better. Nashville has 2 wins against San Jose earned overseas in that early start to the season. But they really have not been impressive either, based on just reading what's happened in the box scores. So
and then Seattle, with the coach of the year there, Haxtell, they're 1-1 or 1-1.
Yeah.
1-1.
Yeah. So
coach of the year.
Yeah, I know he's on your team. He's on the all anti-Laidlaw team. So,
if you play the game in the back of a cab, like, he coaches well. And,
right. Yeah. I just
and then our best player in the league has his team 3-0. Jack Eichel there in Vegas.
Yeah.
MVP.
Yeah, well, just as it wasn't all Eichel's fault that the team was bad this year, I don't think he should get all the credit for how well they've played this season. Okay. So I think Logan Thompson is, But by the way, I still think Stone and a bunch of guys, the veterans on that team, are still just can't get over the fact that he's the acknowledged leader of this team that been designated by Tom Laidlaw as the guy.
It clearly makes sense. So 3-0, he's the leader.
Yeah. But I still think they're kind of shocked by that. They had no idea that he was running.
They're gonna have to get over it soon. I think they go over it now. So.
Yeah, I think Peter Angelo in particular was surprised to be told that Eichel was the leader of the team, and he said, "It's funny. That's not how it feels in this room." So,
how about our Boston Bruins? Again, only 2 games with 2-0.
Yeah, let's give Boston some credit. And again, we're just having fun here because Tom and I both know that we're just 2 games into the season. Yeah. But you look, and this could have been a year when, they got guys hurt. McAvoy isn't playing. Marchand isn't playing. You got guys coming back from injury. And Tom and I have talked about it before, that even when you come back, sometimes you're not quite the same player that you were before. It takes some time to get, the timing back and to feel, right, to trust in the recovery of the injury. Like, imagine, tearing up this or that and then coming back, and, you got to believe that you're 1-2. So there's a lot goes into it. Yet here we go. Boston comes out at the 8th. They still look like the Bruins.
Yeah. Strome coming back tonight to play at MSG says it won't be emotional. I don't know if I was emotional when I came back. It was more. So I was going to trade at the end of the trade deadline. Then I just had the whole summer, and then came back the following season. Was that what it was? No, maybe I did come back during the season. Yeah, it was. I don't know if emotion is the right word. It was really odd, to be, going into the visitors' locker room, sitting on the other bench and everything. For me, I was there for 7 years. I was just so used to going, this is the routine. The process was, this was a home building. This is where you come in. So it was definitely unique. To say that there won't be any feelings about it, he's saying that there's definitely feelings, whether he's really emotional or sad or whatever it is. Especially they had good teams, right? He was part of he was a big part of a team that really did well last year. So there'll be some emotions. I had some.
He was too, and I wonder, and you can answer this because I'm just throwing this out there because I don't know how he feels about it. But the it's not like he was a 100% fan favorite. They were always questioning. Yeah. He played pretty well at various times. and yet everybody, Ranger fans, were always looking for a number 2
Yes.
center.
Actually, they always wanted more for him, right?
Yeah, they wanted more. And to
Yeah.
be honest with you, coming into when the Rangers got him, he was seen as a 2-3.
Yeah.
So he really, in my mind, sort of exceeded expectations.
I agree. He was
Yeah.
a competitive guy. He worked hard.
Yeah,
He's a good
yeah.
leader. Yeah, I thought he really did well.
I wonder if that sort of plays a role in it. Like, those guys, they say they never read, but they know. Like, they know that, that the fans are always on them at various points in social media and stuff. And it wasn't all the time. I mean, there were times when he was playing well that the fans, are saying, well, and probably last season when the team was playing pretty well and all that too. So, but it's not like the team had faith in him too, because like nobody said at the end of last season, well, man, our priority is we got to get Ryan Strong re-signed. Like, he's the guy.
I think they felt like, okay, for the player that he was, they liked him a lot. He was going to get more money than they felt he was worth.
Yeah.
Not that they didn't want him. It's just that, he was going to get more. I said Kenny Holland had the great line. What did he say? I like him at $6 million. Or no, I don't like him at $6 million. I like him at $4 million, right?
Yeah, no love. He basically what he said is, I hate that player at $6 million a year, but I love him at 4.2. Yeah, so well, I mean, the same thing. Jack Campbell, who I mentioned before, Toronto just didn't think he was worth what he wanted last year. They thought, he wanted $5 million, and they said, he's not a $5 million goalie.
Right. And isn't Murray hurt now in Toronto?
Murray's hurt.
Yeah.
And I think you always have to add when you say Murray's hurt again.
Yes.
Okay. And then so you say that now whenever you talk about Murray, you always have to say again because he's been hurt way too much.
Yeah.
And he really needed maybe, I don't know for him, but I think for the fans' sake, this wasn't, I wouldn't call it a controversial move, but not everybody thought that when they got Matt Murray, well, all of our problems are solved now because he's won the Stanley Cup. And so, but now it's, all going to be on Samsonov. Now, there are people who predicted that Samsonov was going to end up number 1 anyway. But, I'd like to remind everybody that the Capitals didn't believe in Samsonov last year at the end of last season. Yeah. And, I just still remember Brian McClellan, who I think, I mentioned this before, perhaps the most underrated general manager in the league.
Sure. Yep.
That doesn't get enough credit. He's bold, he's aggressive. And last year at the trade deadline, he kind of shrugged and in a moment of pure candor said, I'm not going to do much because I just don't believe in this team. Our goaltending hasn't been. I mean, he didn't phrase it quite like that, but that was his insinuation. Like
coming into the season last year, they really believed highly in him, and everybody else sure did. Right?
Yeah,
he was really the guy.
Yeah. So, but what do we make of the Lightning too? A little bit.
I think it's that team that I think it's just they know how to win. They know there's no panic. I mean, I just feel like. I mean, I think back to the Islanders when they went to the finals 5 years in a row, lost the last one. During the playoffs or during the regular season, you look at them and go, they're really not that good, and then they obviously make the playoffs and then they get in there and then they may struggle the first round or whatever, but all of a sudden now they're in the finals again. So I think it's the same way with the Lightning. They've been there before. They know how to win. They've still got the talent that they need, the pieces that they need. I could see them still just, getting in the playoffs with, easily getting in the playoffs and then whatever happens in the playoffs after that. So, yeah.
But here's my take on that. Like their depth has been severely eroded for the last 3 seasons. They were such a deep team. Like they just had, they come at you with 4 lines and, and then like the year before, like one of their lines, they had Gaudreau on it and Gordy, and the whole line was gone. Right. And then, and this season, off season, McDonough and Palat. Palat leaves as a free agent. To me, I'm wondering now, it's just a bridge too far. Like that was like that's the final blow.
Yeah.
Palat has been with that team through it all. Not he's not Kucherov, but he's a pretty valuable player, especially come playoff time. He can do a lot. Yep. He's good defensively. scores big goals, and even a guy like Ruda, you know,
Yeah.
third pairing guy, relatively inexpensive, but he's been around the block more than once.
Right.
Like he knows how it all works. He knows how to keep the puck out of his zone. He knows what his job is. And now he's gone. So you take McDonough, who's played pretty well in
Well,
Nashville.
that's a big loss. I forgot about that one too. That is a big
Yeah.
loss. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I wonder, is it possible? Now, again, it's early. Who knows? They could end up, winning that division. But, could this have been like, all right, we've stood all the erosion of our coastline here, but, this is the final step. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to watch.
But as long as they got Vasilevsky, Hedman, I think, yeah, you're right. They probably are not, no question. They are not the team they were, especially 4 years ago. But I just think they'll still make the playoffs, but what they do. But I do agree. The depth has certainly been eroded. How about our Goudreau and the Columbus Blue Jackets? Again, only 3 games, but 0-3.
Well, and what really hurt them already is Liney's already out.
Yeah.
Like he was. People weren't paying attention last year, but I wish I had the stats in front of me. But it was something like he had 40-some points in his last 35 games.
Yeah, you told me that, and I would never have guessed that either. I remember.
Yeah, he had that one spurt of about a month when he was almost Ovechkin-like in terms of his point production, and I think everybody was pretty excited about that.
Right. And he can. Man, he's got the skill. I've just always questioned the heart in him, but
yeah. Well, and then so that line, everybody's going to be. But the one thing that we've always said about his decision, his being Johnny Gaudreau, going to Columbus, is who's going to play center for him. That they don't really have that traditional number one dominant center.
Yeah.
So that was his choice. I guess he's got $10.5 million to help.
I was going to say, I got the sense more that he got the most money there, and that's why he went there. I don't think he was really.
Well, he turned down more. He could have gotten more in Calgary.
Well, true. Other than staying in Calgary, he clearly just did not want to stay in Calgary.
Yeah. I think that was a fair deal. So, but So, I don't know. Columbus. I wasn't. Like, I didn't think they suddenly moved into being a contending team. So I think, am I surprised they're 0-3? I don't know, mildly, I guess. I would thought they would win one of their first 3 games, but we'll see how that goes.
I got a big assignment for you coming up. We are going to have, similar to the Ice Bucket Challenge, we're going to have a dance challenge. And I think it's not determined yet. I think we're going to use the Garden of Dreams as the charity to get the money raised for. So everybody has to put in a dancing video. You and your wife are going to have a dancing video. It doesn't matter how good or bad your dancing is. You just have to dance with everything you've got, all heart. Okay. And it's all for a good cause. That's what it's all about.
All right.
No judging.
When is that coming?
We don't know yet. Hopefully this week we'll get some more information. We're sitting down with the Rangers to see if that's going to work with Madison Square Garden, if that'll work. But we want it's got to be all heart and no judgment. This is no judgment zone whatsoever. Just all out with dancing.
All right. All for charity.
All for charity. Yes.
Yeah. No, sounds good. Tom's always in the middle of it all when it comes to the charity work. So we appreciate that about him. So
it's fun. But I can't stop dancing now. My Sunday cooking show yesterday, I was doing a little dancing. So
yeah, that's good. Though that was the other thing too. When I was in Italy, I thought about, because I was talking to a guy on the farm, and I made a mental note. I was going to ask you about this. These guys run this organic farm. They do everything there, like all the food they grow there and so forth. And they get up at ungodly hours and start to work and go all night. And grapes grow on the side of a hill, so you're constantly walking up hills, and these guys are just in tremendous shape.
Yeah.
And they've created all kinds of special projects, and I thought they're kind of like Tom, only you go out and you start like exercising, they get up and they start working.
Sure. Yeah.
At that time, but as your roots and your dedication to your True Grit lifestyle, is it the fact that you grew up with a farming mentality?
100%, no question about it.
Yeah,
especially a small farm where we couldn't afford to hire other people or buy a new tractor. They just had to make it work out. I remember my father and grandfather just had to make it work. If the tractor broke down, they had to figure out how to fix it. Equipment broke down. They had to figure out how to fix it. There was no walking away saying, well, throwing up your hands. It just had to get done. So, yeah, there's no question. And I don't think I realized that until later on in life. I think it was the same way with my career, where I just had to find a way to get it done. There was never a whole lot of thought about it. So, actually, speaking of not a whole lot of thought, the film crew came in a couple weeks ago from Vancouver for this True Redemption documentary that I'm a part of. They had a drone with them when we were on the beach. So I decided I was going to buy myself a drone. We can take some videos and pictures and everything. So I was out on the beach, got the drone going. I realized I had not read the instruction manual. It didn't know how to fly it at all. So it started heading towards the water, and I went into panic mode. I had to push the land button. I was able to, there's a button that says take off and land. So landed in the beach. So we're fine, but it was a little bit of a panic mode there for a second. So
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. How was the landing? Landing was
it was okay. It's on the beach with a soft sand and everything. So I realized, Tommy, better read the instruction manual. It might be a idea to read the instruction.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see that. I can see that you, especially with the drone. So yeah, these drones are powerful things. I was watching the news and the attacks on Kiev there with Ukrainian-Russia war was done with drones, suicide drone attacks, as they call it, Now, I don't see that that's any accurate assessment, because nobody is, that's just a machine.
I was out practicing yesterday and I flew it into a fence. Maybe that's what it was. It was a suicide mission. My drone was trying to.
Yeah. Suicide. Oh boy, they find new ways of being involved in a war. Doing it with drones. So anyway, well, we appreciate you tuning in. I hope you missed us. I really do, while we were off the air, but we're back now. We'll be committed to coming to you twice a week to talk all things hockey. If you want to read me, I'm at Detroit Hockey Now and HockeyBuzz.com. And
if you would like to listen to the radio version of this show, you can go to radio.co at 365 Sports. Actually, I should check. I thought about to make sure that's still going on, but radio.co at 365 Sports. Yeah. Sending people someplace where there's nothing going on.
So,
all right, everybody. We'll see you on Wednesday.